I didn't know what I was walking into when I came home that day, but I should have. I should have known better. I've always been the kind of guy who notices the small things. Details. I have to. It's my job. I'm a photographer, a freelance one, and I rely on my ability to capture the quiet moments, the things most people miss. But the one thing I never learned to notice were the cracks in my own life, in my own relationship. I thought I was immune to the things that happened in those dramatic stories people always told about infidelity or betrayal. Not me. Not us. We were fine. We were the exception, the couple who had it figured out. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. It was late, and I had just finished a shoot. As I walked through the front door of my apartment, I expected the usual silence, the comfort of home. But today, something felt different. The place was dark, which wasn't unusual, but the air felt thick, like there was something in it. A heaviness. I shook it off and made my way to the living room. I had just dropped my bag and was about to turn on the lights when I noticed it, the faint sound of voices. It wasn't coming from the TV or the radio. It was coming from the hallway, from behind the closed door of the bedroom. Curiosity got the best of me. I hadn't expected anyone to be here. My wife, Leah, wasn't due to be home for another hour or so. I crept closer to the door, trying to make out what was being said. At first, it was too quiet, like a whisper too soft to understand. But then, there it was, Leah's voice, clear as day. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," she said. My heart stopped. I froze, my hand still on the doorknob. I was so caught off guard, I couldn't even move. Leah and I had been married for 5 years. Our relationship wasn't perfect, what marriage is, but it was solid. We fought sometimes, sure, but we always worked things out. We always came back to each other. But this was different. I pressed my ear closer to the door. "I'm not happy, Jason," Leah continued, her voice breaking. "I don't know how to explain it. It's just different now." Jason? Who was Jason? I didn't know any Jason. Not one that Leah would talk to. My thoughts were swirling, but before I could gather my thoughts, I heard another voice. A deeper voice. A man's voice. "I get it, Leah, but you know we can't keep doing this. You deserve more than him. You deserve someone who actually sees you." I felt my stomach drop. A wave of nausea hit me, and I couldn't help but step back. Who was this guy? And why was Leah talking to him like this? What was going on behind my back? I wanted to kick open the door, to confront her, but something inside me told me to wait, to listen. It was like I was paralyzed, caught between wanting to face the truth and not being ready to hear it. For what felt like hours, I stood there, barely breathing. My mind was racing with possibilities, none of them good. Was Leah having an affair? Was she planning to leave me? And then, I heard it. The one thing that shattered me completely. "I don't want to hurt him," Leah whispered, her voice shaking with emotion. "I love him, but I don't know if I can keep pretending everything is fine." The words hit me like a freight train. It felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I had always thought of Leah as my rock, the person I could always rely on, the one who had been by my side through thick and thin. But now, here she was, confessing that everything I thought I knew about our relationship might be a lie. I slowly backed away from the door, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to turn. Everything I thought I understood about my marriage was crumbling. Leah wasn't the person I thought she was. And the worst part? I didn't even know how long this had been going on. How long had she been unhappy? How long had she been seeing this other man? I didn't know, but I was about to find out. I couldn't go back in. Not yet. My mind was racing with 1,000 thoughts, and none of them were making sense. I had to step outside, take a breath. So I did. I walked out the door, shutting it quietly behind me, and stood on the balcony, trying to process what had just happened. The city lights flickered beneath me, but they felt far away, like they belonged to someone else's world, not mine. The evening air was cool against my skin, but I couldn't focus on it. My heart was pounding, and every time I tried to calm myself, my mind would replay the words I'd just overheard. "I don't want to hurt him," Leah's voice echoed in my head. "But I don't know if I can keep pretending everything is fine." I could still hear the muffled sound of their conversation through the window. Jason's voice, deep and soothing, had become an angry whisper, like he was trying to convince her to leave me, to choose him, and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that Leah, my wife, could be involved with someone else. It didn't make sense. We had always been good together. We had our issues, of course, but every couple does, right? But this wasn't just an issue. This was betrayal. I walked up and down the balcony, my thoughts spiraling. I had to find out more. I had to know the truth. But part of me feared what I might discover if I stayed. The trust that I thought we shared, was it all just an illusion? How long had this been happening? How long had she been seeing Jason? I knew I should go in, confront her. But something told me to wait. Maybe it was cowardice, or maybe I was just trying to hold on to the last shred of hope that what I'd heard wasn't the whole story. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was real, and I was about to lose everything. After what felt like an eternity, I finally gathered the courage to go back inside. The apartment felt colder now. The warmth I had felt when I first came in was gone, replaced with an uncomfortable chill. I walked toward the bedroom door, unsure of what I would say. Would she tell me the truth? Or would she lie? I had to know. When I opened the door, Leah was sitting on the bed, her back to me. She hadn't heard me enter. For a second, I just stood there, watching her, trying to decide what to say. The woman I had loved, the woman I had shared my life with, was sitting there, her shoulders tense, her body turned away from me. "Leah," I said, my voice quiet, but it felt like the loudest thing in the room. She turned to me, startled, like she didn't expect me to be there. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. But she quickly wiped away the tear that had escaped and tried to force a smile. "Jake, you're home early. Everything okay?" I stared at her, my heart racing. I wanted to shout, to demand answers. But instead, I just stood there, feeling numb. I couldn't even look at her the way I used to. "I heard you," I said, my voice trembling despite my best efforts. I heard everything. Her face paled. The smile faded, and I could see the fear in her eyes. "What do you mean?" she asked, but I could hear the hesitation in her voice. The lie was already forming. "I heard you talking to Jason," I replied, each word feeling like it was cutting through me. "I heard everything. About how you're unhappy. About how you don't know if you can keep pretending. About how you don't want to hurt me." My voice cracked, and I couldn't hold it together any longer. "Leah, what's going on? Who is Jason?" She stood up abruptly, as if to step away, but I didn't let her. I reached out, grabbed her arm, and pulled her back. My grip was tight, desperate, like I was trying to keep her from slipping away. I never meant for you to hear that," she whispered, avoiding my gaze. "It's not what you think. Please, Jake, just let me explain." I shook my head, the anger bubbling up inside me. "Explain? How do you explain this, Leah? How do you explain the fact that I'm standing here, and you've been having secret conversations with another man behind my back?" She stepped back, her face filled with a mix of guilt and something else I couldn't quite place. "It's not like that," she insisted, but there was a tremor in her voice that made me question everything she was saying. "I've been feeling lost, Jake. For a long time now. I didn't know how to talk to you about it. I didn't know what to do." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So what? You just went behind my back, talked to some guy, and decided that was the answer?" "No," she exclaimed, her voice rising. "I wasn't planning anything, Jake. It just happened. I didn't want to hurt you, but I've been so unhappy. I thought you could see it, too. I thought you knew." "I had no idea," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You've been so distant. You've been shutting me out for months, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't want to see it. I thought things would get better on their own, but they didn't." Leah looked away, her eyes filled with tears now. "I didn't want to hurt you," she repeated. "I swear I didn't. But the damage was already done. I couldn't just go back to pretending everything was okay. Not after this." "Who is he?" I asked again, my voice cold now. "Who is Jason? And how long has this been going on?" Her face twisted with pain, but she didn't answer right away. When she finally spoke, her words hit me harder than I could have ever imagined. He's been there for me. He's been the one who listened when I needed someone. He's been my escape, Jake." Her words hung in the air like a heavy fog, and in that moment, I realized that everything had changed. Our marriage, our life together, it wasn't just strained anymore. It was broken. I stood there, staring at Leah, and for a moment, I couldn't process what she had just said. Jason had been her escape? The words bounced around in my head like a broken record, repeating over and over again. He's been there for me. I couldn't shake the thought. I wanted to scream, to shout, but instead, I felt an overwhelming numbness settle in, like my body was disconnected from everything happening around me. I took a step back. The room felt suffocating. "Escape," I repeated, trying to make sense of it. "So what? You've been. What, leaning on him? For what exactly? Leah didn't respond right away. She looked like she was trying to find the right words, but her silence only made the tension worse. Every second felt like an eternity. I never meant for it to go this far, she said quietly, her voice shaky. I just needed someone to talk to. Someone who understood me. But it turned into something else. Her eyes welled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away, her face tense. I shook my head in disbelief. So, you've been talking to him for months now? All those late nights. All the times you said you were working late or out with friends. You were with him? She nodded, her face flushed with shame. Yes, but it wasn't like you think. Jason didn't mean to take my heart. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I let out a bitter laugh, the sound harsh and unfamiliar even to my own ears. You didn't mean for it? How does something like this just happen? People don't just fall into emotional affairs. You made a choice, Leah. Her face crumbled at my words. She opened her mouth as if to respond, but the words caught in her throat. The guilt, the hurt, the fear, it was all there in her expression, written all over her face. She wasn't just afraid of me. She was afraid of herself, of what she had done. I looked away, pacing across the room. The weight of it all was pressing in on me. I couldn't believe I was hearing this. How had we gotten here? How had I missed it? Why Jason? I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. Why him? What did I miss? Was I not enough? Leah's breath hitched. You were always enough, Jake. But it wasn't about you. It was about me. I lost myself, and I didn't know how to get it back. Jason he was there when I needed someone to talk to. Someone who would listen. And over time, it just got more complicated. It didn't make sense. It didn't make any sense at all. But I had to admit, something inside me knew she wasn't lying. There was more to this than just infidelity. There was a deeper emotional rift, one that had been festering for longer than I cared to acknowledge. I don't know what to do with this, Leah, I said, the frustration building in my chest. I want to believe you. I do. But you've broken something in me that I'm not sure I can fix. Her eyes searched mine, pleading. I'm so sorry, Jake. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought if I just kept pretending everything was okay, maybe it would get better. But it didn't. The room fell silent again, and I could feel the gap between us growing wider, like an ocean separating us. I didn't know how to bridge it. How do you fix something that's been shattered, especially when the cracks run this deep? You think you can just come back from this? I said, the words feeling like daggers as they left my mouth. You think we can just go back to the way things were? Leah shook her head, her eyes brimming with tears. No, Jake, I don't think we can go back. But I'm willing to try. I'll do whatever it takes. If you'll let me. Her words hung in the air, but I wasn't sure I believed her anymore. How could I? How could I trust anything she said now? The foundation of our relationship had crumbled in front of me, and I wasn't sure there was enough left to rebuild. I don't know if I can trust you again, Leah, I said softly, more to myself than to her. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way. She nodded, her face a mixture of regret and acceptance. I understand. The silence between us was deafening, and as I stood there, looking at the woman I thought I knew, I realized I had no idea who she really was anymore. I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. The air in the apartment was thick with tension. Every breath felt like it weighed a ton. I stood there, staring at Leah, my mind reeling. The idea of Jason had taken root in my thoughts, and now it was all I could think about. How long had she been seeing him? How many times had they met behind my back? It didn't make sense. Leah wasn't the type of person who would betray me like this. Or so I thought. She sat on the edge of the bed, her hands tightly clasped in her lap. Her posture was rigid, as if she was trying to hold herself together, but I could see the cracks in her resolve. She was broken, and I was just beginning to understand how deep the damage went. My anger was still bubbling beneath the surface, but now it was mixed with a deep sense of betrayal that felt like it was suffocating me. Leah, I said, my voice trembling despite my best efforts to stay calm. You have to tell me everything. I need to know what happened between you and him. I can't keep pretending like I don't know what's going on. Her eyes shifted to the floor, unable to meet my gaze. I could see that she was battling with herself, as if the words she was about to say could never undo what had already been done. But she had to say it. She owed me that much. He came into my life when I was at a really low point, she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. You were always so busy with your work, and I felt like I was disappearing. I was lonely, Jake, and I thought, maybe if I had someone to talk to, someone who could listen, things would feel different. But it didn't just stop at talking. I clenched my fists, trying to hold back the emotions that were threatening to spill over. So what? You didn't think I would notice? You didn't think I'd see the signs? You've been sneaking around behind my back, Leah, and now you're telling me it didn't stop at talking? She winced, as if my words were physically painful to her. I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you, Jake. It just happened. It was never supposed to go this far. How far did it go, Leah? I asked, my voice tight with restraint. How many times? Did you? Her face turned pale, and she cut me off before I could finish the question. No, we didn't. We didn't sleep together. I swear, Jake. It never went that far. But we got close. Too close. I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. Too close. How is that supposed to make me feel better? You've been emotionally cheating on me, Leah, for months. That's still betrayal. I know, she said, her voice cracking. And I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I don't even know how it got to this point. But it did. And now I can't take it back. I stood there, my mind spinning. Part of me wanted to leave, to walk out that door and never come back. But another part of me, stubborn and hurt, wanted to know everything. I needed to know why. I needed to understand how we had gotten to this point, where my wife was sharing her life with another man. Did you ever love him? I asked, the question hanging in the air between us. Or was it just a distraction? Leah's face softened, and she hesitated. I don't know anymore, she admitted. When I first started talking to him, it was just about having someone to talk to. But then, he made me feel seen. He made me feel like I mattered again. And then, I started thinking about him more than I should have. I let him get under my skin. I closed my eyes, trying to keep myself together. You let him get under your skin, I repeated, my voice low. What does that even mean, Leah? You've been neglecting our marriage for months, and now you're telling me it was all because of some emotional connection with another guy? She nodded, tears streaming down her face now. I didn't know how to handle it, Jake. I didn't know how to tell you that I was struggling. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't want to burden you. But you didn't hesitate to burden me with the truth now, did you? I snapped, the anger in my voice flaring again. You didn't hesitate when it was too late to fix anything. She flinched, but didn't respond. The silence between us was suffocating. I wanted to say more, to scream at her, to make her understand the pain I was feeling, but I couldn't find the words. The rawness of the betrayal felt like it was choking me. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, I spoke again. Do you even want to fix this? Do you want us to work? Or is it too late for that? Leah looked up at me, her eyes filled with sorrow. I want to try. I really do. I know I've messed up, Jake, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away. But I'll do whatever it takes. Please, give me a chance to make this right. I didn't know how to respond. My heart was torn between the man I had been and the man I was becoming. I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. But I also didn't know if I was ready to give up on everything we had built. I couldn't stop pacing. The living room felt like it was closing in on me. Leah's words had landed like punches, and each one left a bruise I wasn't sure I could heal. I want to fix this, she had said. But how could I believe that? After everything, how could I trust her? Every moment I spent standing there, my mind was racing with all the possibilities, none of them good. Leah was still sitting on the bed, her eyes desperately trying to lock with mine, but I couldn't look at her. Not yet. I was still too angry, too hurt. Jake, please, she said again, her voice trembling. I know I've messed up, but I'm asking for a chance. I'll do anything. I'll prove it to you. I stopped pacing and turned to face her. Prove it? How? How can you possibly prove that everything we had wasn't just a lie? She looked down, her face shadowed with shame. I can't change what's happened, Jake. But I can show you that I want us to work. I want to be the person you thought I was. I'll end things with Jason. I'll cut him out of my life completely, if that's what it takes. For a moment, I was quiet. I didn't know if I could ask her to do that. Cut him out. What if he was already too ingrained in her life? What if he was already a part of something I couldn't compete with? Do you even want to cut him out? I asked, my voice colder than I intended. Or is this just about avoiding the consequences of your actions? Leah recoiled at my words, but I couldn't bring myself to apologize. She had pushed me to this point. I do, she said firmly. I swear, Jake. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll delete his number. Block him. I just need you to trust me. Trust. That word felt like a foreign language. How could I trust her now? My head was spinning, and my emotions were a storm I couldn't control. My mind kept playing back the moments before, her tears, her guilt, her desperation. But what if it wasn't real? What if she was just saying what I needed to hear to keep me around? I walked over to the window and stared out at the city below, trying to clear my head. The world outside was moving so easily, so carelessly, and here I was, caught in the wreckage of everything I had built. It was hard to breathe. I wanted answers. I wanted to know what happened, what went wrong. But most of all, I wanted to know if this was worth saving. Jake, please, Leah's voice broke through my thoughts. I'm sorry. Please, don't leave me. I love you. I didn't respond right away. How could I? My chest felt tight, like a weight had settled there, and the words I wanted to say wouldn't come. I loved her too. I really did. But now, all I could feel was doubt. Doubt about who she was, doubt about who I was becoming. And then it hit me. Maybe the worst part of all of this wasn't her betrayal. It was that I had let it happen. I had seen the signs, the small cracks, and I had ignored them. I had been so wrapped up in my own world, in my work, in my own needs, that I had missed the growing distance between us. I turned back to her. I need time, I said, the words barely escaping my lips. I need to think. Leah's eyes widened in panic. Jake, please, don't say that. I'll change. I'll do whatever you need. Just don't walk away from me. But I was already walking away. I needed space, more than I'd ever needed before. I grabbed my jacket, slammed the door behind me, and stepped out into the night, unsure of where I was going or what I was looking for. I just needed to get away from everything, to breathe without the weight of her words hanging over me. The cold air hit me like a slap in the face, and I kept walking. I wasn't thinking about anything except getting away from that apartment, away from her, and away from the mess we had become. As I walked, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to deal with anything right now. But it buzzed again, and then again, until I couldn't ignore it. I pulled it out, expecting another text from Leah, begging me to come back. But instead, there was a message from an unknown number. You don't know the whole story. If you want the truth, meet me. My heart stopped. Who was this? What truth? I looked around, trying to steady my breath, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just stumbled into something much bigger than I could have imagined. The phone screen glowed in my hand, the words blinking back at me. You don't know the whole story. If you want the truth, meet me. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt a cold shiver crawl down my spine. Who was this? How did they know what was going on? And more importantly, what truth were they talking about? I looked around, the bustling city streets offering no answers, just the usual noise of cars and people going about their business. But in that moment, the noise felt distant, like I was trapped in some kind of bubble. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease creeping over me. But the message, the words were stuck in my head. I couldn't just ignore it. A part of me knew it was dangerous to follow a stranger into the unknown, but another part of me, one that had been drowning in confusion and betrayal, felt like this might be the key to everything. Maybe this person knew something I didn't. Maybe this was my chance to get the answers I needed. The phone buzzed again, this time with a new message. I'll be waiting at the old pier. Midnight. I couldn't wait until midnight. I was already unraveling, and this cryptic message felt like the only thread I had left. I didn't know if I was making the right decision, but I didn't care. I needed to know what was really happening. I stood there for a moment, my mind in turmoil. Should I tell Leah? Should I go back home and confront her? But something told me that this message wasn't just for me to ignore. It was too specific. It was too pointed. Someone wanted to reveal something important, and it felt like I had no choice but to follow. I typed a quick reply, hoping for more details, but the screen went blank. No more messages came through. I was left in the silence, unsure if I'd made a mistake or if I was finally about to uncover the truth. The old pier was a place I hadn't thought about in years. It was one of those rundown spots on the edge of town, the kind of place people stopped visiting when they grew older, when they grew out of wanting to explore hidden corners of their city. I had gone there once as a kid, a place to escape from the noise of life, the world at my feet, and endless possibilities. But tonight, it felt different. It felt like a place where secrets were buried. I made my way there, the city lights fading into the distance as I drove further away from home. The roads were quieter now, and the air grew cooler. My thoughts raced. What could this person possibly want to tell me? Was it about Leah? Had someone been watching us? I couldn't make sense of it. But the urgency in my gut told me I was too close to stop now. As I arrived at the pier, the night was dark, save for a few dim streetlights. The sound of the water slapping against the docks was the only thing I could hear. The place looked abandoned, empty, as if no one had been there in years. I stepped out of my car, the gravel crunching under my boots. My pulse quickened as I approached the wooden dock, each step echoing in the silence. I glanced around, but there was no one in sight. The wind picked up, the salty air stinging my face, and I checked my watch. It wasn't quite midnight, but I was already on edge. Then, out of the darkness, a figure emerged. A man. He was wearing a long coat, the collar turned up against the wind. I couldn't make out his face, but something about the way he moved told me he wasn't here to be friendly. He was here with purpose. My pulse quickened, but I didn't back away. I had come this far, and I needed answers. He stopped a few feet away from me and tilted his head, his voice low but clear. You came. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. My mind was racing with questions. Who is this guy? Why did he want to meet me here? Let's not waste time, he continued. I know what's going on with your wife. I felt the air leave my lungs. I had no words. He knew about Leah? About everything? My mind was spinning, but I forced myself to stay calm. Who are you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He gave a slight chuckle, but there was no humor in it. That's not important. What's important is what I know, and what you need to know. My body tensed. What do you know about Leah? He stepped closer, and I instinctively took a step back. I know about Jason, he said, his voice laced with something I couldn't quite place. I know that she's been seeing him, and I know she's been lying to you. But there's more you don't know. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. How did he know about Jason? How could he possibly know this much? What do you mean? More I don't know. I asked, my voice trembling now. He smiled, a cold, empty smile that didn't reach his eyes. The question isn't what she's been doing behind your back. The question is, why? And the answer? It's not what you think. Jason isn't just some guy she's been talking to. He's connected to a lot more than you realize. I felt my head spin. What are you talking about? I demanded. Who are you? And why should I believe anything you're saying? He glanced around, as if to make sure no one was listening. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, because if you don't figure this out, Jake, it's not just your marriage at risk. It's your life. My body froze. The words, it's not just your marriage at risk. It's your life, echoed in my head like a threat. The wind seemed to grow colder, the shadows of the pier growing deeper around me. I tried to steady my breath, but my heart was pounding so loudly, I could barely hear the waves crashing against the dock. What are you talking about? I asked, the words sharp, my patience thin. Who the hell are you? The man didn't respond right away. Instead, he stepped closer, his coat flapping in the wind. There was a cold calculation in his eyes, something that made me instinctively want to step back. But I didn't. I couldn't. You still don't get it, do you? He said, his voice low and deliberate. This isn't just about your wife, Jake. This is bigger. Much bigger. Jason isn't just some guy she met. He's involved in something you can't even begin to understand. My stomach churned. What was this man saying? I tried to wrap my head around his words, but they didn't make sense. Jason was just a guy Leah had been talking to, right? This had to be some misunderstanding, some twisted game. Jason isn't just a guy who's been sneaking around with my wife, I said, my voice tight. He's a what? A criminal? A spy? The man's smile didn't reach his eyes. Close, but not exactly. He's connected to people you don't want to mess with. People who don't just destroy marriages, they destroy lives. I felt a sickening realization wash over me. You're saying Leah's been caught up in something dangerous, and I've been too blind to see it? The man nodded. She's not the only one. You're involved too now. And unless you figure out what's really going on, you won't just lose your wife. You'll lose everything. I took a step back, my mind reeling. This was crazy. Was this guy even real? Was he just some kind of manipulator, trying to scare me into doing something? Or was there some truth to what he was saying? What do you want from me? I demanded, my voice shaking. If you know all this, why tell me now? What's the catch? The man's eyes narrowed. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to warn you. Jason's not just in this for your wife. He's using her to get to you. And once he's done with you, it won't just be your marriage that's gone. It'll be your freedom. Maybe even your life. I felt a cold sweat run down my back. What do you mean? What does he want from me? The man took a step back and looked at me like I was the one who was slow on the uptake. You really think this is just about a little affair? No. Jason's been watching you, Jake. Your work, your life. He's been setting you up for something big. I opened my mouth to respond, but nothing came out. My throat felt dry, and I could barely process what he was saying. This doesn't make sense, I muttered, more to myself than to him. Oh, it makes perfect sense. You just haven't seen the full picture. But it's too late to turn back now. You've been dragged into something far bigger than you know, and if you don't act fast, it's going to swallow you whole. I was still trying to make sense of everything when the man took another step toward me, his face now inches from mine. I'm giving you a chance, Jake, he said in a low, almost conspiratorial tone. You've got one shot to get ahead of this. You need to figure out who Jason really is, and why your wife is so involved. My breath caught in my throat. Leah, Jason, my marriage. What had I gotten myself into? What do I do? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. The man smiled again, but this time there was no warmth in it. You start by trusting no one, not even her. And with that, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the pier, leaving me standing there, alone and confused. The man was gone, swallowed by the darkness, and for a moment, I was left standing there on the pier, the cold air biting into my skin. His words echoed in my head, growing louder with each passing second. Trust no one. He had been so certain, so calculated. But was it true? Was my life really in danger, or had I just met a crazy person? I tried to process everything. Leah, Jason, the strange man, the cryptic warning. It felt like everything had unraveled in a matter of hours. But what was the truth? How much of what I had been told was real, and how much of it was just fear and manipulation? My phone buzzed in my pocket, breaking the silence of the night. It was a message from Leah. Jake, please. I don't know how to fix this, but I want to. I know I've hurt you, and I know I've made terrible mistakes, but I swear I'm trying to make it right. I love you. I stood there, staring at the message, my heart heavy in my chest. The cold wind had nothing on the weight of the decision I was about to make. Could I trust her? Could I ever believe in us again? Or had I already been pulled too far into a world of lies and secrets that I couldn't escape? I took a deep breath and dialed her number. The phone rang for what felt like an eternity, and just as I was about to hang up, she answered. Jake. Her voice was shaky, and I could hear the vulnerability in it, a rawness that I hadn't heard in a long time. Please, just hear me out. I felt the walls inside me begin to crack. Despite everything that had happened, despite the betrayal, I still loved her. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that I couldn't let fear dictate my choices. I'm listening, I said, my voice softer now. Leah sighed on the other end of the line. I know I messed up, and I know I hurt you, but I'm not running anymore, Jake. I'm done hiding. I don't care about Jason or anyone else. I want us. I'm ready to fight for us, for our marriage. There was a pause, and I could hear her trying to keep it together. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to lose you. For a moment, I said nothing. I just stood there, my heart pounding, trying to make sense of everything. The lies, the confusion, the pain. But at the same time, I knew that I wasn't ready to give up on the woman I had married, the woman I still loved. I don't know what's been going on, Leah. I don't know if we can just fix everything overnight, I said, my voice calm but firm. But I do know that I'm willing to try. I want to figure this out with you. Her voice cracked with relief. You mean that? I do, I said, finally feeling a sense of clarity wash over me. But we're going to have to start over. We have to rebuild trust. It won't be easy, but I think we can do it. Together. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, she whispered. I'll prove it to you. As I stood there, listening to her voice crack with emotion, I realized that the most important thing was that we were willing to fight. Not just for our marriage, but for ourselves. I drove back home that night, my thoughts clearer than they had been in days. There were still so many unknowns, so many questions, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope. When I walked into the apartment, Leah was waiting for me, her eyes red from crying. But there was a softness in them now, a willingness to be vulnerable. I didn't have all the answers, and I knew it would take time, but I also knew that we had a chance. Maybe things wouldn't be perfect. Maybe we would struggle, but we had something worth fighting for. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I took her hand, and we faced the future together.